So we are going to talk about correlation of digestion yoga with menopause, right? So we have we have a special guest today. She is a yoga therapist, and she helps a lot of women who are entering perimenopause, menopause, using yoga as a tool to help them overcome some of the symptoms. So Libby is the one, Libby Stevenson. So she will be joining me in 1 second. Talking about how yoga and yoga can help you alleviate some of the symptoms if one of the women are going through perimenopause or menopause. Hello, namaste, Libby. Happy
No.
to.
Namaste. Hello, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely an honor for us. Interesting topic, menopause, digestion, and yoga. What is the correlation of these three things? And tell us a little bit about yourself before we go into the topic.
Okay, right. So my name is Libby Stevenson, and I'm a yoga teacher, and I am specialized and certified to teach yoga to women at different stages of womanhood. So in pregnancy, postnatal, perimenopause, menopause. I'm also a therapeutic well-being practitioner, and basically that just means that I help women express their emotions, explore their feelings using a non-talking therapy, in particular, a movement, yoga, and the creative arts. I'm also a mom of four, and I live in London, central London. And before the pandemic, I was teaching yoga in yoga studios, and now it's all online. I teach courses, classes, one-to-ones, and workshops.
Great,
So,
great.
so yes,
Okay.
you had asked me about yoga, the menopause, and digestion, and those are huge topics, aren't they?
Yes, yes. So how does yoga come into play, and what is the
Yeah,
correlation of menopause and digestion? That's the other
yeah.
thing.
Well, very interesting. Okay, so I thought we should start with the framework for what is yoga, because certainly in the West, we tend to think of yoga as a physical practice, and it's so much more than that. It is actually a holistic approach to our health and well-being. And by that, what I mean is that all the parts of the body get involved. So although we may be in a pose or we may be flowing from pose to pose, other parts of the body get involved, such as the brain, the nervous system, the immune system, just to name a few. So yoga is more than just movement because other parts of the body get involved and are affected. In fact, meditation is a part of yoga. There's no movement in meditation, and yet we feel physical benefits from it. So that's what yoga is. It affects the whole body when we do yoga at the same time. Okay, let's park yoga for a minute and let's talk about the menopause. So the menopause, just very, very briefly and very simply, the menopause is a natural process of aging that happens to women, regardless of whether they are mothers or not. And the reason why it happens is because part of aging is that the hormone that makes us women, estrogen, starts to decline. And the problem with that is that estrogen governs a woman's body. Everything is governed by estrogen. So the minute it starts to decline, things start to happen and we feel a host of physical symptoms. From what I understand, there's at least 31 symptoms. Not that every woman experiences all of them, but they will experience the more common ones, such as hot flushes, night sweats, foggy brain, not being able to sleep, and poor digestion is another symptom of the menopause. But before we talk about that, how does yoga help for the menopause?
Yeah.
Because when we go through the menopause, we feel all the symptoms at the same time. So we get the hot flushes, the achy joints, the foggy brain, whatever. They all happen at the same time. But when we do yoga, yoga, as we said, affects all parts of the body. So you are easing all of your symptoms by doing yoga at the same time. So all those symptoms are eased at the same time through yoga because yoga is a holistic approach to health and well-being. So now where does the digestion come in? The digestion comes in because this decline in estrogen also affects our gut and all of the organs in the gut. And it does so by making those organs more relaxed and less elastic. So now things are not passing through our gut as efficiently as they should be because of the lack of estrogen. So the yoga can help with that. So there are poses we can do just for digestion. So a lot of women, when they go through the menopause, they suffer from constipation because, like I said, things are not moving as efficiently through the gut. So we can do poses that can help with that. And one of those poses, which is a very well-known pose, child's pose, Balasana. And just being in that pose, we have the thighs pressing into the gut. And we have that the thighs are massaging the organs of the gut. So that alone is helping the digestion. But like I said at the beginning, yoga is holistic. So you're not just getting the benefit of for digestion. You're also getting a lower back pain. It eases that. It stretches the spine. Depending on where your arms are, if you have them stretched out in front of you, you're getting a lovely shoulder stretch. If you have them by your side, you're getting an upper spine stretch, a thoracic stretch. So there are so many other benefits to being in that pose. And child's pose is also a restorative pose, which means just by being in it, you're releasing tension. And by releasing tension, you're releasing heat from the body. So there you go. You know, all of the hot flushes, your inability to sleep at night, it's all solved for you. But I have to make a point of saying that yoga is not a cure-all. It eases symptoms. And I just want to make that clear because sometimes I get very passionate about what I'm talking. And I don't want people to think, oh, I just have to do yoga and I won't have any menopause symptoms. No. In fact, there was a study done on a bunch of women and they did yoga twice a week for 12 weeks. And then at the end of it, they asked them what their symptoms were. And all of their symptoms, the severity of their symptoms had eased. So they were feeling a lot better. They still had hot flushes, but they weren't for as long and they weren't as frequent, for example.
Sure. No, I think, I had also looked at some of the work, the research work before our session today.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about, is it the yoga that you're doing or recommending, is it a combination of asanas plus pranayama plus meditation? What is the framework of that?
Okay, so Menopause Yoga, there are many of us now that are getting certified in this particular type of yoga. And the idea behind Menopause Yoga is that we use breathing techniques, meditation, and poses to release heat from the body and tension, to relax the body. I mentioned earlier foggy brain. So a lot of women, as they go through the menopause, become forgetful, can't focus. We do poses to bring blood flowing to the brain. So yes, so we do all of those specifically with the symptoms in mind.
Yes. Now this type of yoga that you're talking about, does it also help the younger women who are going through PMS? Is it the same kind of a thing with PMS and menopause? Well, is it different?
That's a really interesting question because the symptoms of PMS and the symptoms of the menopause are pretty much the same, including like the breast tenderness, the swelling of the belly. Yes. So how do you know? Because there's something called perimenopause, which is what happens before the menopause. How do you know it's PMS or perimenopause? Two ways. There are two things that will indicate the difference. One is your age. So menopause, perimenopause symptoms start late 40s for most women. And the other one, menopausal brain here. We have, one is age, and what is the other one? Oh goodness, I can't remember, but there's two things.
Maybe the PMS women, they don't get the hot flushes, you know, that's something that older women get that. Is that something?
You know what? Yeah, they don't get the hot flushes, but no, it's two things. It's, and I cannot remember the second one. That's terrible. But your age is an indication. And certainly, I'm sorry, I do remember the second one, the change to your period. So that's why it's important to start tracking our cycles so that we know when there are changes to our period, what kinds of changes, whether the periods become shorter or longer, or you start skipping them. Another one is the duration of the menstrual flow. It tends to get shorter and heavier. So that's one that you probably will notice, but whether your cycle, you're skipping it, sometimes we forget. Did we get one last month? You forget. So if you start, tracking it, there are apps that people can use, or I like to just circle the day I was getting my period on a calendar just to remind myself. But yes, those are the two things. I do apologize for menopausal brain, but I'm living proof.
Yeah. So, all right. So then so what I'm trying to understand is the type of yoga that you're using for a perimenopause, menopausal woman. Is that the same as the PMS? That's why I asked you that question.
No, I think if I were doing a class for women's cycles, menstrual cycle, I would say if you have your period, you do restorative poses. You want to be relaxing. If you are in the luteal and ovulation stages, those the two stages that come after you've had your period, those are energizing times in the cycle. So you can do more challenging yoga like Ashtanga or Vinyasa. And then when you're doing your PMS, when you are PMSing, you want to do poses that can alleviate those symptoms. So more like Hatha yoga, where you stay in the pose, or a yin yoga, those kinds of things because you get lower back pain, don't you? So you want to do poses that are going to stretch the body in ways that ease the symptoms of PMS. Lying on your back, hugging your knees for the bloating is very helpful. So yeah, I would do different yoga for the two types of women. Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, the other thing that happens in menopausal women is the estrogen dominance, right? The estrogen and the progesterone balance, right? That has been going on for the last so many years, that starts to shift. So that's another, I'm not a doctor here, and I'm a yoga therapist, but what I'm trying to say is that that part also differs from the PMS women versus the menopausal women, right?
I don't know
Okay.
about that.
So any questions?
I don't know that much.
No, I'm just asking. I was just pointing out the estrogen dominance that happens in the menopausal women is not so much apparent when a woman is going through a PMS. So there is a different shift of the body.
Yeah, estrogen dominance just means that with respect to other hormones, there's more estrogen, and as levels of estrogen fall, even though they're falling, there is an imbalance of hormones. So you can get this so-called estrogen dominance. But other than that, I'm not really, well versed in that aspect. Yeah, because that's more hormonal as opposed to physical and yogic. Yeah, I just focus more on the stages of life. So menopause, perimenopause, what those symptoms are, and what poses can help women, what types of breathing can help them ease their symptoms.
Absolutely. No, I think that's very useful, and there's a lot of research and evidence to support the work that you're doing. And a lot of women out there, they need help, as they're going through this process of perimenopause, menopause.
And you know what else it does? Menopause yoga, perimenopausal women come to the classes. It's a space where they can be with other women like that. It builds a community. So they have a space where they can talk about it, and they feel heard, and they feel seen, and they feel, I'm not alone. Other people are feeling this way too, and they learn from each other. So there's always time in a woman's circle to talk about, how are you feeling today? And and people can just talk about their experience and what works for them, what doesn't work for them. So the yoga is a way of building community of women going through that same stage. And that alone can be very cathartic. Absolutely. To know that, you're not alone, and that, I'm not going crazy. And she feels that way too. So it's a wonderful space for women to come together and do a holistic type of, I don't want to call it exercise, movement that can ease their symptoms.
Got it. Well, thank you so much. I think it's very useful. Anyone has any questions? I see a lot of people joined.
Yes.
You know, and any comments anyone has? Because I think Libby covered so many different things in such a short amount of time.
You know, it's big. It's a big, you know, big areas, yoga, menopause, and digestion. But if anyone has any comments, I'm always happy to, you know, if they think about something later on, they can always DM me. That's completely fine. I'm happy to help. And if I can't, I know people who can.
Sure.
I know people. So
thank you so much, Libby, for sharing.
thank you for having me. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
You're
Okay, bye-bye, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.